Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what part of the wonderful world you are tuning in from. This is Jesse Brower coming at you live from the weekly telemarketing tutorial. I'm a little bit late today. I had to do a bunch of stuff, and I'm definitely late for the call. But I'm going to make it. I'm going to extend the call today, and we're going to go through a bunch of different things. I'm trying a little bit different approach. I'm using Zoom and StreamYard at the same time. I don't know how well it's going to work. Pop up like this. Okay. So I'm trying to use Zoom and StreamYard at the same time, and I'm wondering if I can stream my picture and the probably so speaker. Yes, hello. Okay, let's see. Gallery. Could probably make this smaller. Thanks for your patience, guys. And we'll figure out how to put them both on there. Kind of, maybe. It's a little weird because I'm trying to use StreamYard and Zoom at the same time. And how do I do this? Keep on top. There we go. Okay, cool. So once again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what part of the wonderful world you're tuning in from. This is Jesse Brower coming at you live from my personal Facebook page for Jesse Brower's weekly telemarketing tutorial. I am late to the meeting today, but I'm going to go ahead and extend it. We're going to go through a bunch of really cool stuff today and be able to, show you guys how to, get something out of some leads to be able to make some money doing telemarketing. Just make sure this is streaming correctly. I know this is really doesn't seem pro. That see here, I'm looking at my. This is Jesse Brower coming at you live. Okay, it's all good now. I can see this streaming to my Facebook. So, guys, what we're going to talk about today is a few things. I had mentioned to you that there's a legal way to call people on the DNC. That's legal, as in legal. There is a legal way to call people on the DNC, and we're going to go through that. We're also going to go through some of the basic stuff that we go through every week, but I'm going to talk a little bit about that first. I think today we're going to jump around and do things a little bit differently. I want to show you guys my script and why it's more of a survey. It's more of a survey than it is, like a telemarketing call. So once again, this is weird. I'm trying to make this small. So, guys, if you go to the FCC website and you can see, and you can look at it, it says right on their website that a survey is exempt from DNC. Yes, callers purporting to take a survey but also offering to sell goods or services must comply with all the do not call provisions. But if the call is for the sole purpose of conducting a survey, it is exempt. So if you literally do not give them any pricing, you don't try to sell them anything over the phone, you literally, honestly have nothing to sell them, and you keep it totally separate, what that says is that you are allowed to call people on the DNC and do a survey. So that's what it says, and I am running with it. I've got two separate entities. I mean, if you were going to do it this way, I would recommend you do the same. I've got, I'm not going to say them here, the names of them, but I've got my two separate entities, and one is for doing the surveys, and the other one is for, processing the leads and making sure they get sold by the solar companies and or ourselves. And so that's it. So on this script, you see nowhere that we're giving a quote, nowhere that we're trying to sell them anything. It's literally just questions. Have you got solar on your home yet? Right? And then we get, how much do they spend for electricity? Who's the electricity provider? By its purest definition, it's nothing more than a survey. And then we just ask them, is there a time and a date where you could talk about this more? And if they agree to that, that's the time then I could pass that information on to my sales company, process it, and get it out to a solar company that would then sell them solar. And it's like a lot of haters and stuff want to disagree with me in the groups, and that's fine. The reality is, guys, I've been doing it anyway for years, and I haven't cared. But when I made my post, a lot of people really challenged me on it. They're like, oh, that's unethical. You can't call people on the DNC. Like, I don't care. I would have called people on the DNC anyway. But the reality is if you're just doing a survey, it's actually legal. You're good. So I went ahead and found that loophole so that I could present it to you guys. And again, you can look for it right here. It says, and this is the government website, it says, but if the call is for the sole purpose of conducting a survey, it's exempt. So set your company up for doing surveys and don't make any money from it. It's just like you're operating at a lost company or a nonprofit or whatever. I've got literally a company that we don't make any money from that company. There is no money being made from that. And it's just literally employees sitting down doing this. And it's all just money coming in from me as like an investment to it. And if you looked at it on paper, you'd say, oh, this business doesn't make any money. And that's correct. It doesn't, because all the money comes from the other company where we process solar power. We process solar sales, I'm saying, sorry. And we get the leads out. So it's pretty basic, guys. But again, if somebody wants to combat me on technicalities and say that, hey, it's really illegal or it's not going to hold up in court, then just don't call them. I don't care. Like, if I'm going to call them, and the people who have wisdom are going to call them. Everybody who's getting appointments is going to call them. But this is the way I would suggest you set it up. If you want to be legal about it, just don't pitch them, don't give price, nothing. And if they say something like, hey, can you quote me over the phone? Say, no, we don't do that. We don't do that at all. We just, we're just setting up a time for you to speak to somebody else, and keep it totally separate. Like, resist the urge to go ahead. And it's also healthy because, like, if you listen to guys like Mike, he'll talk about, I gotta go whenever he's at a door. And this can be used on the phone as well. Customers are going to try to ask all these different kind of questions or get all this information. Say, no, I really got to go. I only have a minute. I'm only here to set up a time. So it's actually healthy to get off the phone and away from the person at that time anyway. So it does two things. I mean, one, it keeps you legal because you're not trying to sell them anything. You won't give them any pricing. Even if they want to ask, how much would that cost, and they're asking buying questions, just shut it down and redirect it to the fact that that's for another time. That's for another company. That's for another part of the journey. That's not for me today. And why would you want to do that, even if it had nothing to do with the law? For one, you would want to do that because you don't want to try and pitch it right there on the spot. You want to set up a time and a date where you can go back and properly pitch it. You're going to have an actual meeting. So use that as fuel to set the appointment. Use it as fuel to set the appointment that you can't sell to them today, even if they want to buy today, even if they want to ask all these questions. You cannot do anything. You've got to go. You're just asking a few questions. You're setting up a time and a date, and then you've got to go, and then set that time and date and go back and under the auspice of your other company and pitch them solar. Okay, so that's what you do. That's how you keep it legal. So let's go back to my slide here. Jesse Brower's weekly telemarketing tutorial. We're going to go through some of the same stuff that we always go through, but we're going to talk about a little bit more about ringless voicemail and some other things as well. So one thing to remember, guys, is a cold call is a cold call is a cold call. You need to speak to a lot of people. If you buy leads and you call through from me or anybody else, it doesn't matter where you get them from, but you call through 150 leads, 200 leads, and you're like, oh, I didn't get an appointment. Well, that's because you didn't do enough work to get an appointment. That's not how it works. That's not how it actually works. You have to, do 150 calls an hour. You have to do 150 calls every couple hours. You have to really hammer in order to get something out of the leads. You're not going to get appointments like handed to you on a silver platter just because you bought a leads list. It doesn't work that way, right? So you've got to do the work. And what does that mean? You need to get an auto dialer. You need to either have an auto dialer or a click to call dialer, one of the two. Load the leads and call the leads heavily. You've got to hammer them. You've got to call these people 6, 7, 8 times to be able to get them to pick up. They're not going to pick up because you're calling them. They're not waiting for your call. So, oh man, I bought a list of leads from Jesse Brower. I bought a list of leads from Jack, Burley. I bought a list of leads from all these different guys. I should get appointments. I'm entitled because I just spent $1,500. No, you're not entitled to anything. You have the tools now, and you have to go do the work. And it is a lot of work to go and make appointments on any type of a list, whether it be a solar opt-in list or whether it be a homeowner list. It's a lot of work. So, and I wasn't kidding when I said it earlier. It's like, come back to me and say, hey, I made 150 calls. I didn't get an appointment. All right, well, when you're making 150 calls an hour from your auto dialer, for 5 hours straight, and then you come back to me and say, you know what, I'm not getting an appointment. Then I'll say, okay, let's look at your script. Let's look at your process. Why aren't you getting an appointment? But you're going to get an appointment then. If you're making that kind of volume, you're going to get it because that's the work that's required. It's not one of these things where you can just pick up your cell phone and dial through some numbers, for half an hour and expect to get appointments. It just doesn't work that way. Like knocking doors, you have to hit way less doors to get appointments. Like you could go out and hit 40 doors and probably make really good money. You know what I mean? You could hit 40, 50 doors a day and have like a really, really good annual income. 40, 50 doors. Calls, it doesn't work that way. It does not work that way with calls, guys. You need to plan on doing 400-500 calls in a session. Like you need to go through 400 or 500 numbers in a session to get the same number of appointments you're going to get on 40 or 50 doors. It's just different. It's way easier to hang up on somebody. It's way easier to not pick up the phone at all and just let it go straight to voicemail than if somebody's hammering your door, knocking the door, ringing the doorbell. Like, usually people aren't just going to ghost that as much as they will like a phone number that's going, it's an unrecognized, they're just send you to voicemail. So it's way different. I'm not saying it's harder, but it's way different. So like if you're a door knocker and you're coming into this and you want to learn how to do telemarketing, understand if you're used to going out and knocking 40, 50 doors and you think doing 40, 50 calls is going to be the magic ticket, you'll be sorely mistaken. It's not going to work for you. You've got to do 10 times the number of calls as the number of doors that you would normally knock, like period. That's just the way that it works because people are sending your unrecognized calls to voicemail like 8 times out of 10, like maybe 9 times out of 10. Most calls are going to voicemail, period. That's why we're going to also get into ringless voicemail here in a minute, because since most calls are going to voicemail, period, you want to send them a voicemail box, or you want to send them a voicemail so that way you can warm your list up and, reach them, because maybe they'll hear that voicemail, whereas, they won't take your call. So that's why, I tell people that you should be able to, on an aged solar list, be able to expect to make 1 to 2 appointments out of 50 conversations. That's not calls. That's conversations. And to get 50 conversations, guys, you're going to have to dial 300 numbers, 4, maybe 500 numbers. Like you're going to have to dial a lot of data to get 50 conversations for sure. To get 50 people on the line is a lot of work. And if you've got an auto dialer, it makes it a little easier. So 2 to 4% of the people that you speak to, you ought to be able to make an appointment with. If it's raw homeowner data, you're going to have to go through a lot more than that. You may have to do, 8 or 900 calls to get a few solid appointments, talk to 100 to 300 people, conversations to be able to get that. Set a time that's non-negotiable for yourself. One thing that's interesting, though, is making calls can go a little bit faster than knocking doors, too, though, because you don't have to physically walk from house to house to house. So, it's maybe 10 times more activity, but it can be done in a quicker manner, especially if you're using an auto dialer. So if I'm saying you need to do 500 calls, guys, you could do 500 calls in, a few hours. You could definitely do that. It's not like, oh shit, I'm going to have to call 500 people. Like that's going to take me 12 and a half hours. No, it's not. Like you could call 500 people, even have 500 connected calls in 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours, if you're using like the proper software, which we'll get into here in a minute as well. It's all about just getting those conversations and getting those people on the line, making your pitch, and then you'll have appointments. Set a time that's non-negotiable for yourself. Make sure that you never go a day without a couple of appointments. And, obviously, if you're setting 3 to 4 appointments a day, you're doing really well. Here's the just deliberate thing that I've been talking to you guys about. I wanted to mention this to you. This is, again, these days, guys, ask yourself, how many times when you see an unrecognized call are you sending it straight to voicemail? Right? Like you're not picking it up. I'm not. Like if it's an unrecognized, for me, I kind of am because I'm selling leads, so people call me. But like before I was doing that, if it was an unrecognized number, a lot of time I'm just sending it to ringless. I'm just sending it to voicemail, and most of you guys are probably sending them to voicemail as well, unless maybe it's you're in sales as well. Obviously, maybe your customer's calling, but the reality is most of these homeowners, guys, don't pick up the phone. They just don't. All right? Think about this. If it's your mother, right, and she's getting 10 different unrecognized calls a day, is she going to pick it up? Probably not. She's probably going to send it to voicemail. So how do you reach those people? How do you reach people that are sending all the calls to voicemail? You send them a ringless voicemail. There's a piece of software that is in the outline that I put in the comments section of my post. If you go to my Facebook profile and you look at Jesse Ryan Brower, and you look at the pinned post, you can find this outline. And there's a piece of software that you guys can sign up for it right here. I'm not an affiliate for it. I'm just trying to help you out. But it's called Just Deliver It. And with that, you're able to go in there and literally drop voicemails without having to actually physically call the people. You make one recording and you drop it to everybody on your list that has a cell phone or even a landline. It works with landline numbers as well. It's really, really nice. Of course, if their voicemail box is full, it's not going to work. And there's a few reasons why it won't work, but usually, as long as the voicemail is not full and that kind of thing, you can drop a voicemail to that voicemail box. And I would recommend doing that very much. And then you can have a couple different variations of that. You can call them with a ringless voicemail, leave them a voicemail, and then a couple of days later, call them again, say, hey, we've been trying to reach you. And, keep trying to reach them, keep trying to call them the whole time, but definitely structure your voicemail a little bit different. I would not recommend dropping the same voicemail like 2 or 3 times, because then it's like, they're going to catch on, hey, this is like a robo voicemail, and it's going to irritate people. So change the voicemail up each time so that it's actually something that's coherent that they can relate to, right? Like you're calling them and leaving them a voicemail, and you are. You're just using automation to do that. Dialers, guys, VC dialer. I've directed a few people to this. It's what we use. If you're going to get VC dialer like us, I would recommend that you do get like a managed service, so you don't have to have like a tech or something on your staff. You just get a managed service. Get somebody that's middlemaning the minutes for a slight markup that's willing to be a tech. So what does that mean? VC dialer is just a shell. It's like Open Office or something. It's like Windows. It's just a piece of software that can be used to do different things. You're going to have to hook VC dialer up to a VoIP provider. So what I would recommend you do is find somebody that sells pre-done VC packages that are already hooked up to a VoIP provider and charges you a markup on minutes, because it's worth it, and the markup is negligible. I'm paying 0.005 cents per minute to a guy in the Philippines for my VC dialer service. And that, it's very cheap. It's a very cheap way to go. So I like it. I'm happy with it. And he does a little bit of tech work for us. Like, he does build some things out when we need him to, and it works out pretty well. If you need VC dialer, you can find it by going to like Fiverr, or you can go to certain Facebook groups and you can look for VC dialer, and you can look for like a managed VC dialer service, somebody that has a package for sale where they're literally just offering it to you. And the other benefit to that, guys, is that there's no connection to you. It's not in your name. It's in the name of that person, that foreign person. Okay, so that's why it's good, because at that point, even if you did a DNC violation, like I said, it's legal if you're just doing a survey. But even if you did a DNC violation, like, it's not going to be traced back to you at all, because you've got the VC dialer in someone else's name. So that's another benefit to it. But I'm not advocating that you do a DNC violation. I'm just saying that if you've got the dialer in somebody else's name, how is it ever going to come back to you? So it's a good thing to have set up that way. And again, I'm not advocating that you do break the DNC. Just do a survey so it's legal, right? But at any rate, guys, so the VC dialer is what we use, and we do like a survey style appointment setting script. And then it makes it legal to call people on the DNC because it's a survey. We won't sell them anything. We can't sell them anything. People in my call center couldn't sell them solar if they wanted to, right? They have no ability to log into any sales portal whatsoever. They can't. They cannot sell them solar. It's not even part of what we do in that company. That company is an appointment setting company. Therefore, it's a survey company, So set it up like that and you'll be legal. You want to track your results, guys. If you're really new, I mean, this might seem kind of basic to you, but you want to track your results and make sure that, when you're making appointments, you put them in some kind of a spreadsheet. Obviously, you can use a CRM or whatever you've got, but even just Google Sheets is fine. You can set things up to where it's a little bit easier to see. I give you this particular spreadsheet in this outline right here so that you can use it. If you want the tracker sheet, it's there for you, and you're able to, go and use that. And it doesn't have any connection to me. Just go make a copy of it. Like, don't use mine that I give the link. Just go make a copy of that and use your own as a copy, and you can keep track of all your appointments. Money-making script. So, like, again, this script, guys, is set up more like a survey. It's not set up to sell them anything. It's set up to just set an appointment. It's set up just to take a survey, ask them a few questions about themselves and about their house. And that's why it's legal, because you're not and I'm looking for ways to fine tune this even more to make sure that it's very legal, like to where it's totally a survey. But I think, you could still say this is totally a survey because we're not actually selling anything at all, and there's no opportunity for them to buy anything at all. Um, I might rephrase the appointment time and date part of it to make it more survey like, to make it even more like compliant or whatever. But right now, this is how we've got it. Yes, hello, John. I only have a minute. Hey, John, it's Rich with the Zero Down Solar Program. We're just checking to see if you've already had a chance to take a look at solar for your home and to give you that opportunity. It's just a question. Okay. Great. We may be able to help you. Right now is a really good time to look at solar with all the incentives, potential massive energy savings, and energy security. It's really worth at least taking a look. John, would you be available any day this week? We can do Monday through Saturday, mornings, afternoons, and evenings. Set a time and a date. How much do you pay monthly for your electric? Who's your electric provider? You're the homeowner. To confirm, I have your first and last name. You're the only one on the title, or is there somebody else on the title with you? If they're a spouse or a significant other that helps you make decisions with these kind of things. And if they ask why, you can just say, everybody that's involved in the decision-making process should take a look. Get both names if there's more than one person on the title, obviously. And, say, so is your credit pretty good? I wouldn't ask them, what is your credit score? So is your credit pretty good? They say yes. Again, it's a survey question, guys. Is your credit pretty good? Oh, yeah, it's good. Cool. Great. Well, you may qualify. And I think I'm going to change this part of the script. You may qualify. And then just leave it at that. I wouldn't say our expert. I think I'm going to actually change that. I'm going to change that part to make it more like a survey. But great. You may qualify and then mark it down as good credit and move on. Okay. If they say there's no, make sure it's at least 650, or make sure they have a cosigner. And then to confirm, I have your address, it's da 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 da. And to confirm, here's your in-home appointment will be on da da da. Your in-home appointment will be on da da da. Or if it's a phone appointment, do you have any questions that I can note down for the solar experts, making them better prepared for the meeting? Once again, your telephone, your in-home appointment will be on this time. And make sure to repeat it 3 times. So then we'll call you back 3 to 10 minutes from now. That's something we've stopped doing as well. I'm going to be taking this out of the script. So just ignore this bottom part. We're not going to call them back to confirm right then and there. We're having we do it if it depends on the location of the appointment center. If the person is working from home, we do this. If they're working in the office, we just have the manager kind of tap the guy on the shoulder. He hands him the headset and he does the confirmation right then and there on the same call. But if you've got people in remote locations, you could certainly do something like this, either transfer the call or tell them, and I would ideally transfer the call, but tell them, hey, we'll call you back in 3 to 10 minutes for a 90-second call to confirm. If they pick it up, there's a pretty high intent. But now we've changed that. We've just got the manager. He's going to tap the guy on the shoulder. He's going to, grab the headset and confirm it right there on the same call. Or you could do like a transfer of the call. So guys, again, this script is set up more like a survey. It's not set up like a sales script, which is questions, and then let them know, hey, you're going to be receiving some information. You're going to be receiving, an expert that can come out and explain this to you. Okay. Because they agreed to all of it. Bam. I didn't sell them anything. I couldn't tell them anything if I wanted to on this call. My employees that make these calls couldn't sell solar to them if they wanted to, because it's literally just an information gathering call, a survey. Okay, so that's that. Let's go back to the slides here. I would ask for callbacks every time, guys. Like, definitely, you'd be surprised how many people will give you a callback. Just because you ask. Like, you have not because you asked not. That's really true. It's funny, people might say, hey, I'm not interested. And you'll say, I understand that, but can I call you back about solar? Can I call you back about solar? And, some people will say it just to get you off the phone. Yeah, sure. Call me back. Other people might actually genuinely say, yeah, you know what? That's fine. You can call me back. But either way, you'll get your calendar filled up with callbacks. And that's, a good portion of the time you can get a callback just by asking, guys. Like, you can get a bunch for sure. And you put them in your Google Calendar and follow up with them in a timely manner. Remember to have a tone, guys. Like right now, I should be a little bit more excited. I should be a little bit more uppity because I'm doing my weekly telemarketing tutorial. But if I was making calls, I'd have to snap out of it. Like, I have a little headache. I ate really late, and it was like 3:30. It was about 5 o'clock before I really ate anything substantial. So I have kind of a headache. But if I'm doing calls, I got to snap out of it. I got to sound like I'm ready to go. I got to get on this script and be like this. Get into character and be like, yes, hello, John. Hey, John, I only have a minute. Yeah, it's Rich with the Zero Down Solar Program. We're just checking to see if you've already had a chance to take a look at solar for your home and to give you that opportunity. And, you just want to speak really loud and clear with a lot of enthusiasm and sound like you mean it, guys. Sound like you mean it. That was horrible what I just did. You got to do better than that. You got to do, Yes, hello, John. John, I only have a minute. Hey, John, it's Rich with the Zero Down Solar Program. We're just checking to see if you've already had a chance to take a look at solar for your home and to give you that opportunity. Yes, hello, John. I only have a minute. Hey, John, it's Rich with the Zero Down Solar Program. We're just checking to see if you've already had a chance to take a look at solar for your home and to give you that opportunity. So that was better. Still not perfect, guys. But you've got to stay in character, no matter how if you have a headache or whatever. And make sure you're hydrated and stuff when you get on and do your calls, so that you feel like you can really deliver a powerful, you know, message to these folks. Like enthusiastically pitch those first two lines. That's really important so that you can catch their attention. I think it's very important that you have those first two lines come out in such a way that is, compelling, right? So Grant Cardone talks about tone and attitude and all that stuff, of course. So that's kind of the slides. But once again, guys, I want to go back to this thing. It's right here. But if the call is for the sole purpose of conducting a survey, it's exempt. Don't try to sell them anything over the phone. Don't offer them anything over the phone. Gather their information. That's it. Even the time and a date for a meeting, as long as you're passing it on to a separate entity. In the way I read this is that you're exempt because you're gathering nothing. You're doing nothing but gathering information: name, address, phone number, time and date when you might like to hear about more solar information, and then have the other entity handle that. Have the other company handle that. Whether you're an appointment setting company and you're handing it off to somebody else, or whether it's your own other company, have like two LLCs or two entities and have the other one handle the sales process. And if they start telling you, hey, give me some pricing over the phone. No, we don't actually do that. We're just gathering information here today. State that on the call if they're really pressing. We don't do that. This is just a survey. We're just gathering information. And if you want further information, we're going to pass this along to somebody that can help you, and they'll be the ones to help you. But we can't help you today. And again, that it's healthy for your appointment setting process because you do have to go. You don't want to be answering all their questions and getting everything out of the way right then and there, because then they don't need an appointment anymore. Why would they need an appointment? You already answered all their questions. So even if there wasn't a legality issue, Mike does this anyway. Michael O'Donnell does this anyway. When they're trying to, let him pitch at the door, he's like, no, I really got to go, but I can come back and I can dedicate an hour of my time to talk to you, right? So that by treating this as a survey and having a hard line that you can't pitch them, it gives you even more ammunition to do exactly what Mike is doing, but it gives you another reason why. Like the way he does it, he says, I got to go. I'm really busy. I got a lot of people I got to help. That's his pitch at the door. But when you're doing it over the phone, you can use that. But you can also use the fact that, I don't have anything to sell you. I cannot. It's not part of my job. I actually can't sell you anything and give you that type of information. It's not in my scope. So you can do that as well. And it's a valid thing. But why? But why would you want to do that for the sales process? Because first of all, you don't want to pitch them right then and there, because then they're just going to get all the information and not make an appointment. They're not going to give you the time of day and buy from you. They're just going to get their questions answered and be done with it. So it's a powerful tool on both ends of the spectrum. You're doing it to get an appointment so you can come back and sit down. You're also doing it because you want to keep yourself legal. You're saying, you know what? No, I can't give you pricing. That's just not in my scope. It's not something that I'm not even able to do that. And you're not lying, because on the first call, you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to. You're doing a survey. No, I wouldn't be able to, even if I wanted to, miss. That's not in my scope. We're just collecting information today. And if this is something that you want some more information on, then certainly I can have an expert come out and discuss that with you. But that's not something my company even does. Okay, that's not something my company even does. We're just collecting information. This is a survey about solar today. And then there you go. You're legal. And again, all you guys in the Solar Pros group that want to, disagree and you want to get sweaty palms about calling people on the DNC, once again, I'll say it, boldly. More for me, and more for the people who are wise enough to do it. I'll just tell you a little secret, guys. Like, a lot of successful solar companies are hammering the DNC. Like, it's happening, or they're hiring people to do it, and it's definitely happening. So if you don't think so, you're ignorant. And I'm sorry to say that, but ignorant, like maybe not stupid, but definitely ignorant of the truth, because a lot of successful and even large solar companies are definitely accepting appointments from call centers that call 60% DNC numbers. I know this by working in the industry. It's absolutely happening. So, again, I was in the group, and a few of you guys, come out and like, oh gosh, it's unethical to tell people to call numbers on the DNC. No, it's not unethical. Don't be ridiculous. It's not unethical at all. What's unethical about trying to help somebody get solar? That's a ridiculous statement. It is not unethical, and in fact, it's legal if you do it the way that I'm telling you to do it. Period. It's legal if you do it the way that I'm telling you to do it. And it helps you to actually make an appointment. It helps you to make an appointment because you've got a valid excuse why you've got to get off that phone, why you cannot pitch them. Mike says it's because he's busy and he's got to go. He's got another appointment to be at. He's helping a lot of other people go solar. He's got to get off that doorstep. I'll make the appointment. I can come back, but I can't pitch you now. If you're doing calls, you can do that approach, but you can also say, that's not part of my scope. That's not what my company does, right? And then that nice little recording that you have becomes reinforcement that, in fact, yeah, no, he's right. He was only doing a survey. He wouldn't even talk price. He wouldn't say anything over the first call. The initial call was for a survey. It was information gathering only. So when they're saying, oh, yeah, no, just give me a price. How much would a solar? My neighbor got solar. How much is one? You know what? That's not something that I can answer over this call. That's out of my scope. And you're not lying. If you're treating it as a survey and you've got your hardline rule that it's a survey call, you're not lying. You're telling the truth. That's out of my scope, sir. I wouldn't be able to give you any pricing. That's not something my company does. Okay, and have two companies. Shoot, guys, what does it take? $150 to set up another LLC? Get your shit together. I've got LLCs and company. I've got another company registered in the Philippines. Like, how hard is that? It's not that hard, guys, to do stuff. Like, just do it. And then tell them honestly over the phone, yeah, we can't quote you over the phone. That's not something this company does. And it's an honest thing. All we're doing today is we're gathering information, but we can definitely pass your information along to someone who does do that. Okay, so now you're legal, and you can call everybody on the DNC. You can thank me later. And, if you're one of those types that wants to lose sleep over it and say, well, that's unethical, again, more for me and more for the other large solar companies that are accepting appointments from DNC numbers. I mean, it would be utterly ridiculous not to try and sell to those people, especially when there's these kind of loopholes. No, none of you are ashamed to use the tax loopholes. None of you are. Like, you'll all use the tax loopholes that exist to legally avoid paying taxes, but you want to sweat me for using the loopholes that exist in telemarketing. I think it's funny. Again, more for me and more for the other solar companies that do it. But that's pretty much it, guys. That's how you can call people legally on the do not call list. You've got my script. So go to my Facebook page and look for Jesse Ryan Brower, and you can see the it's right in there. I think I can share that if I can pull this up here. Bam, 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 bam. 1 second, I'll pull it up and I'll show you guys where it's at so you can locate it. So if you want to have that script, you want to have all that stuff, look up Jesse Ryan Brower, Facebook / a world changer. And, there I am, entrepreneur, world changer, lover of life. Join my mission. You see the whole thing. Scroll down to the pinned post. On the pinned post, you're going to see that, there's comments. And I put the outline in the comments. The outline is right there in the comments. So that has everything that I went over with you today, including the script, including just everything. It's all right here, guys. Ringless voicemail software, type of dialer, tracker sheet, scripting, some 7 points that are covered, and there's Zoom link so you can come again next week. Guys, so that's what it is. I mean, pretty much, if there's anybody on this Zoom with me, I think there is. There's a couple of people on this Zoom with me. I see a Juan and an iPhone. Let me put the headset on my head so that I can actually hear, and then maybe you guys can ask some questions if you have any. Is there anybody in the Zoom that has a question? If not, that's okay. Juan or iPhone user, do you guys have any questions for me while we're on this call at all? If not, that's totally fine. Let's see. I see somebody's chatting. Yeah, I'm not worried about it either, Juan. Definitely not. And that's the right attitude to have, I think. Cool. Well, you know what? I think that's about it. All I'm going to cover today, guys. It was a little bit shorter. Super busy day. We're going down tomorrow to see to Phoenix to see Brad Lee and Andy Elliott talk about closing, and we had to do a bunch of stuff to prepare for that because we're going to stay down there for a couple days in an Airbnb. So it was just a super busy day for me. And I didn't eat until late, and I got too late to the call. So we're going to wrap it up. But, I'll close the call like I always do, guys. If you need leads, text leads to the to the phone number 623-203-2442. If you need leads, just text it to me at 623-203-2442. And I can get you leads that you can load up into a dialer. You can call them. You can do your survey and, make money. You can absolutely make money in telemarketing. It's a different animal than door knocking. It's very similarly related, but there are different nuances to it and things that you should understand about, like the number of calls, the way you want to pitch it and stuff like that. So we've covered, quite a bit today. We'll be doing this. I'm going to try and do a more in-depth one next week. I'll be a little bit more prepared for it, but I had to hop on and at least do it even though I was late. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you're having a terrific day, and I'm going to end it up right now.